we took over the whole building. The whole building we took over, and then it became a 400-seater office. While the first year happened, we were about to reach our revenues, which is the first crore.
Hi, welcome everyone to the second episode of the My First Crore podcast. Today we have Mr. Arjun with us. In this episode, we will go through his journey of how he finished his MBA in the States and in the UK, how he had a couple of great stints at some very famous companies that I'm sure you have heard the name of. Then how he started his own two ventures, IDEASHACKS and IMPACTX. So welcome again to the podcast, and let's take it from the top. The first thing that we usually like to cover is, what was childhood like, high school like for you? Did you catch the entrepreneurship bug then, or maybe later in your journey? How was it like for you?
Hi. So basically, my school was not much about entrepreneurship, but it was more about learning the parts of what forms into entrepreneurship later on. The first spirit that came in, I believe, was when as early as my nursery class, where in my pre-nursery, it's a funny story, I ran a race and I came last. So I was a fat boy and gulu boy, I call myself. So and I lost that race, and I have a picture, which was a traumatic picture. So that trauma, when you are too young, the trauma is always bigger than what it seems, right? So we started on
always take it more seriously.
Yes. So I started running in my school, tried to win. So there was a competition, positive competition that I really wanted to. I had that in the beginning itself. So I started winning races, which was majorly a 100-meter dash that I used to be very concentrated on. And over a period of time, I learned that what is resilience, and I also learned on what could become something like a practice. When you say that somebody is doing really well and you see the top of the mountain, what went behind it is something that was a real experience in that whole school journey that I had. So I used to go in the morning at around 5 a.m. and run in the field when nobody was on the ground. So people used to observe that this guy is some motivation that we should keep, right? I believe, which then later on became that teachers made me the school captain of the games captain. So that was an experience that was a long experience of 14 years in one school, running from 8th standard to around 11th standard every morning for practices and going for inter-zones, representing kind of the zone that was South Delhi. And then how life turned into this spirit, then added value to the thinking that, okay, I have, as I'm studying commerce with maths in school, and my accounts teacher is amazing. These values actually drove me to a very stable kind of understanding of that these are the steps I really should take for the next step, and not be too afraid, because in the end it's something like if you put some years to something, there's no fear, so fear goes out. The only thing that remains is, okay, let's experiment and just lose as much as possible, because everything else is okay, right? So this is where the whole school journey ended. Then went into.
So you're part of the 5 a.m. club from 8th standard onwards.
Yeah. So that is something that became one story for me also to reminisce, and then see that, okay, I learned resilience out of it. I learned
putting in the work.
Putting in the works. So you need to be on time for your own self. Self-motivation is the only thing. There is nobody else, because my school was never known for sports.
Okay.
So there was nobody to guide me, but only me to guide myself. So in the end, we were the first team that went out for the school for inter-zones and all those things. Amazing. For that school. So it is about the effort that you put in something and how it turns out to be something over a period of time. It is never too fast. It has to take its own time.
Things take their.
Yes. So judging yourself too much that I'm too slow is also something that I learned, that this is not the way to do it. It is just take your steps, and somebody is not there when you're doing it. It means that, okay, you are preparing for it when nobody's looking. And that is something that also became some values that I took for the next steps that I took. So majorly my journey after that was because of commerce with maths in school, I ended up going into business side, which is a more organized way of looking at things. So a bachelor's in business, then from IT University, and then moving on to apply for my MBA in the US. And preparing for my GMAT, and GMAT you being a nice simple thing once you've gone into the Indian process of high school training and everything. GMAT is not a big step to take. You just have to prepare, and you just have to be in the flow.
Probably just the English part is.
English part for some it is English, for some it is the trigonometry and algebra part, the maths part of it, statistics part of it. For me, it was more of little bit of trigonometry and little bit of English that I had to just prepare myself for,
Right.
and got a 60% scholarship.
Amazing.
So that's something that happened for the whole journey. There it was more organized, so it was all age groups in one classroom. That was an experience.
Right.
So people who are 55-year-old managing mutual funds and banking systems of Kazakhstan, for example.
Wow. Those were your batchmates.
Those were my batchmates who used to be at a scale where they used to always be, the teacher never used to teach them. Basically, they knew everything of the account side in the class and everything. Their questions were what drove the whole conversation of the class to pick itself up to a level. Right, so it was an uphill climb. For me, it was a very big uphill climb because obviously I just had 1.5 years of experience before that, not a 2-year experience that the industry says that you should have before an MBA. With 1.5 years experience, also I think the main value of getting a 2 years experience and 3 years experience is a very good thing people should do.
Before
So that, yeah,
going with the MBA.
before the masters, right? So you should always have that industrial learning because after bachelor's you will have a lot of theoretical knowledge.
Right.
You need to break that.
Right.
Nothing works in the market the way it works in schools because it's an environment that is protected, right? But then there are moments which were like networking between the friends of MBA classes. Those were moments when we learned actually.
The peer group.
Yeah, the peer group when going out to a place and just having a nice time. And in those light moments, what we learned, we didn't learn that much in. Apart from accounts, we didn't learn anything in the class. I'm very honest, right? But after that, then see, over a period of time, I used to really like creative thinking and creative outcomes of how a person can think out of the box was a very big question because I was already very structured in my thoughts and I used to always like process and just create that whole process first and then let's talk about creativity in that box, right? Now this journey is like very, very unorganized, the creative side of things. So there has to be some structure that can actually organize the creative part of it as well. So you should give them some time out to just have their own time, just free. Experimental time, right? So come up with a plan, right? So that kind of thinking happened when I then delved into slowly I got interested in aesthetics parts of things as well. So it was in the beginning it was an emotional let out kind of a way of going into it, but over a period of time it became a theory. It became then maths entered, and then you need to understand what the angle of view is of your camera. You need to understand what is the focal length that you're organizing it on. Can you experiment with this? What is 125 by 90 an exposure? What is a morning air? What is an evening air? What is the picture that comes in the morning at around 5 a.m. when the sun is rising? And when why do photographers recommend that you should always click in the morning at 5 a.m. not in the evening, because morning pictures will always look more clear, always look more amazing. So also on top of it, what should be the right exposure? What is the contrast of things? Then Ansel Adams' book came in where he started talking about what is the zone system. So we were the traditional photography guys, so we used to develop our film also. So we were film camera.
This was during your hobby time or when you?
This was during my hobby time.
Oh wow. During your hobby time also you delved into all of this.
So I took an advanced diploma out of it. So I did that on the side and I got
like something online.
Yeah, something online. No, not online. On site in Triveni class in Delhi.
Oh,
so we went there in the evenings, 3
so
hours.
When you were in India before your MBA, you finished that.
Yes. So those things were always creating that creative bent of mind that okay, it's something that is close to my heart and the mind is already in a direction. So why can't we find a way to create something out of these two? Right. So over a period of time, I got inclined. So I said, yeah, okay. I after my MBA joined campus hiring through the college. Most of them got hired into Sprint because Overland Park, Kansas, is the headquarters of Sprint at that time. And that was a easy understanding where we went in. I was more of process driven. Not more of technology driven, but still I had some basics of technology happening.
And it was good, like Sprint was a technology company.
It was a technology company and luck would have it that once I got hired into that thing, the first project I got, which was the main project I worked on, is the Map API in 2007.
Wow.
So in 2007, Map API, the way you look at it today, that people say leaflet and all those APIs that can work on top of a map, and you can customize your map for your own company and then take data from that map and then put it into a database and create flows out of it, right? was not there. So what we were doing was, the problem statement was that Sprint has these base transceiver units installed across US. We have engineers who have to know what is the status of each of these base transceiver units, these BTUs. At every pillar, you have one BTU which runs that pillar for that telecom tower. Right. So this is the motherboard of that pole. So now you need to know the status of each of these.
Right. So that whenever something breaks down,
yeah,
they can go and make a repair.
Yeah, so the coder worked with us. So I was majorly into understanding of the functionality of the whole map API. How to do this map on top of a normal Google map had just come in. And then it was an exercise where we divided the whole of US into 5 zones. Took every BTU in the US and put 3 status on them. Red being it needs repair immediately. Orange meaning that it can work for another 1 month, I think, but you need to take care of it in 1 month. So there were logics to the every step. And then there was the green, which we used to tell us that, okay, this is fine, this is in service, everything is working fine. So we used to have a map, and it was running on a very big data in the back.
So all of that custom data that you had was being mapped using Google Maps. Right?
Yes.
And you had this whole internal mapping.
Yes, so we did internal mapping, and we also, the legacy system database was also being combined on the same project itself. So they had one RF data that was coming, radio frequency data that was already there. Now you need to take the older data and combine it with the new data, because the richer results need to come out of this whole conversation between these 2 databases. Now
So
that was a
those
database. So
BTUs
that database was being made 20 years ago. Say, वो बंदा हुआ रहा था वो database. So now, what was the structure of the database? How will you combine it with the biggest pain that became the next step of that project?
Right.
And we solved it to a point that when I left there, from there, the app was working. The testing had started for one of the northern parts. And beyond that, they were still organizing the database in the back. Some parts were showing some smaller analytics results out of it. So that was a very good experience of working on new functionalities, new processes. The major part I learned there was that a developer is also a creative guy. He needs his own time to really think of all the trees that he's looking to make. Of
the different edge cases and everything.
Yes, the use cases he used to design, we used to work together and use user journey, understand who is the user, then making sure that the user has the least steps to make sure that he reaches his result. And errors, also the validation of each step needs to also be very precise, that validation checks should happen so that no incorrect data is entered. And then the structures of the legacy data and the new data need to have such a way of structuring that it should be easy for us to kind of combine it with the older system as well, and then get more richer reports.
And then present all of them together on the map.
Yes, and then present them on map, so that a person who does not know technology is a local guy who just goes up the tower and looks at the motherboard and tries to make it better. Right? He should be able to understand what he's looking at. So his terminology, everything happening at the local level should be perfect. So this is where the project reached a point. But then in the middle, I was also thinking that, okay, this is 1.5 years I've worked here, so now let's find a way to go back to the creative industry, because तलब हो रही है, मतलब कुछ हो रहा है अंदर कि भाई एक creative part of the aesthetics part of things should also be around me.
Right.
So took the biggest decision of my life, came back to India, worked with started my own advertising agency with 2 people.
Did you get pushback from family?
Yeah, a lot of pushback. They really said, oh, what the hell, why are you here? Why did you leave your well-paid job in the US and just coming here for experimentation and all? And I used to always think that, okay, the journey needs to complete itself. If the journey does not complete itself and I don't find my home, there's no point of earning this money today. Right? So I can always earn it again if that is the point. Right? So entrepreneurship bug hit me because nobody else was offering. Let's be very open about it. So how will a business analyst get hired into advertising? That's a big question at that time. Now, these days, you have a creative planner, strategic planner role in advertising, which is open for analysts who are technology plus design.
Oh, that's interesting.
So Ogilvy has that role, JWT has that role. They are now into experimentation of different types of ways of executing an ad.
So they're bringing people from other domains.
Yes, they are bringing it. And they have been doing that for the last 7, 8 years.
I think starting something of your own is a strategy that always worked.
It did. So it was the most painful journey. Didn't like any part of it, but in the end, what ended up becoming was that I understood what the client book looks like. what is the delivery that looks like in an advertising when you open at a very small scale. You are supposed to compete with Ogilvy and Mather while you're in a small room trying to create something new. Because in the end, they will also fight for the same client and you will also fight for the same client. It's a democratic kind of process to reach the...
It's a free market, everybody is...
It's a pitch level democratic way of understanding all types of businesses entering into that conversation. Right? So this is where the advertising part was there for a year. We failed miserably. Could not deliver to clients' requirements. Very happy to say that.
But the name is pretty interesting, RW said.
So that was also very out of the blue. One of the co-founders told me that Rip Van Winkle has woken up. So RBW 720 degrees. We will not offer 360 degrees. We will offer 720 degrees. Okay. There's no reason behind it. So let's laugh at it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So Rip Van Winkle, who was sleeping for a very long time, has woken up. And now he's giving services and design and everything. So okay. So the story was not correct.
And Rip Van Winkle is a made-up character?
No, he's a folklore of European folklore.
Okay.
So Rip Van Winkle, the guy who slept for a very long time and then woke up and then created something for a fairy tale.
Okay.
Not aligned to it at all. We enjoyed
the name was out of the box.
Yes. So it was, then after that I thought that okay, let's go into an organized way of thinking. So let's join something which has a experience design kind of physical experience design, product design kind of space. I wanted to go into the experience design part, right? So experience design, product design, kind of move into that direction, a little bit see what happens in that zone. So exploring the design, aesthetic design side of the whole industry. And for around 11 months, kind of, we were delivering on Sony Ericsson stores across India. At that time, Sony Ericsson had just entered. It was a mobile brand that everyone has now forgotten, I think. But then they were
still remember it.
Yeah. So it was a gaming phone. It used to have games on it and music on it. So this was the first phone which was celebrated for its music, right?
It was first one.
Kind of, right? So Motorola was the phone that was celebrated for its phone capabilities. Like you can hold it and you can have that phone call, right? But this was celebrated for its gaming and music. So they had their brand guidelines. So I learned out of that how can you organize full store execution when the whole process of organizing a thought and putting it onto paper and then taking it to a local vendor and telling him that these are the papers and you have to just go by the book. If you change it, then I will not get the whole project. They will just reject my money. So you need to really concentrate on each of these measurements. Yes. So that was the first introduction into a quality kind of production of physical objects, right? And you saw that unorganized sector organized in front of you because there was some written documentation that helped them to become organized. Right. We used to go into factories which were people will say, "Oh my God, why are you getting your work done from these factories?" Right. Okay, but when you have a documentation in front of you, when you do those requirement functionality documents, right, the ones that you do in your project management and IT, PRDs and all, so those things also work in other places also to organize the creative process. Right. So this is where the seed for the combined understanding started becoming something big. After this, I went to University of Leeds. I wanted to go deeper and see the limits of creative thinking. Thought about every question that raises in front of you. I need to go into a practical way of understanding how a brief works, how in a brief, how a team when it comes together of different capabilities come together and try to find a solution, right? So design thinking was a very big part of the whole journey. The ideation process of making the right solution for a client with this problem, right, was the main part of the whole course, right? It actually gave us a lot of, I now feel that it keeps me away from a lot of stress when you think of the process of design. So the design thinking part of it actually helped me to now think of creative creative thinking in an organized manner. So you say like examples like mind mapping, you go on to post-it notes that actually become your ideation session for the moment.
I guess once you know it's a process, you know that you can follow that process and get things done. So I guess that reduces the stress.
And it also reduces the blackouts. It actually gives you a way of getting out of a blackout. And that is what I learned there. And I met a lot of people who were amazing achievers in the sense that some people have that out of the box thinking, right? So, for example, a coder. Right? There are two types of people who code. one who takes a book, takes one language, and writes it, the code, right? Then there is another one who actually thinks creatively and reduces the size of that code and makes the product very light. The code is very light because he knows how 3 languages can combine together, 3 APIs can combine together, 3 solutions can come together to become one solution in a way that the code should be less and the result should be high, right? What you're looking for in a way which is a full stack understanding of things is something that also creates value for it. So
you're not like trying to, like you have a hammer and you're trying to make everything work with it. You know different tools and you're able to think creatively and use those different tools to make a solution.
Yes.
Rather than you are fixating on one approach.
Yes, so continuous learning every day of newer technologies, making sure that you know and you're relevant in the market with the kind of training that you're getting through, the intrinsic value that you think you will get out of learning a new thing, right? Is something that I, as a very high level understanding of it, understood from this whole journey where it reached a point where I went into the design and business kind of learning in University of Leeds. Now, University of Leeds was one side organized, the other side fully unorganized, but trying to find a structure every day. So we used to have critique sessions. So critique session used to start at around 8:39 in the morning on every Thursday, and they used to end at around 9 o'clock in the night.
Wow.
Everyone,
In the morning?
yes. So these were projects that we had. So we had a timeline of 3 months to deliver on every project, and these classes were only to see the progress that you are making, and everyone else will also get points for giving you the right critique.
So it was a peer.
It was a peer group.
Peer-based learning project. Okay.
Great. So you understood that. So basically that, right? And we used to present ourselves in front of the whole audience, which was our class. And you never used to have good listeners. They used to always have very deep points because they were getting points for it, which is an amazing thing.
Right.
So this is a very cool experience we had. In the end, we used to be very confident the last day when we reached the point of delivering the requirement.
Because you have gone through so many
iterations and so many times that you worked overnight to deliver to the audience, that over a period of time it became very easy for us to understand that yes, now this will be something that people will like, right? So that actually also gives us the positive that I got out of it was there should be a fight within, but everything that comes out should be quality. So if you have a good critique module inside an organization, it actually adds value when you are delivering at the end, because many times you are ahead of the customers, sometimes you are behind the customer in his requirements. Every time your internal fight should happen to a point where you reach a point where the product becomes something which is easy to pitch, people are more confident. You reach a point where you in the beginning think that okay, there is no structure to where we are reaching, but at the end of it you will find out that structure automatically came out. And things started becoming a story, and then you started saying that in a very confident way, and then you started presenting it in a way that people started understanding it in a better way. Those things, right? So this is what I learned about the critique process. And then the people there were all types, all countries, all experiences, and very wild and very, very out of the box in the design school, right? And that out of the box thinking ended up becoming my way of looking at how to lead a conversation, how to break the path of what we are thinking right now, how to switch off and then switch on into a different direction and look at it from a different point of view.
The different hats of thinking.
Yes, and just not caring about, okay, this is the way we thought before, how can you forget this 100%?
Okay.
Is something that that was also taught in that school. That
Learning.
Now you have to give us 3 ideas which are sellable.
Okay.
Of the same product and the same problem.
Okay.
Right? So now you need to make sure that the first one has no inclination or thing with the second one.
Zero overlap.
Right? So zero overlap is something that is very painful when you're in a thought process of one side and then you want to break the whole thinking, just get an out moment and then come back with another thinking of okay, now let's look at the problem again, right? And let's see what it takes you to, right? After that, I came back and the journey became very beautiful because there was a organized learning and unorganized sector learning, which then started showing that you can organize everything in the world. There is nothing that cannot be organized, right? And this was the confidence I got out of the whole 3 degrees that I got and the middle failures I went through. Then I came back and
Before
joined.
going to your professional experiences,
Yes.
which college had the most fun parties? The India, the US, or the UK one?
UK1 had the most.
I was not
amazing
expecting that because usually we believe that Americans are the most friendly and fun.
They are very friendly. My roommate was I will call him a great guy. He was a local Midwestern in the US. So
like the cowboy
he was an
type?
Irish. Yeah, he had a 400-acre farm of his own, and his father used to make muscle cars, and he and his father used to make
Like the
muscle cars
ones that you
farm.
see in Fast and Furious.
Yeah, similar. So they used to have chargers and all those things in their house, and they used to make them, break them, keep on making. So major Irish family, Irish migrants, and majorly a 400 acre. So he had a lifestyle which was 400 acre of a farm, and the neighbor is around 2 kilometers away, obviously.
Right.
So it's something like that kind of a lifestyle. But he was a very amazing guy, down to earth, always 8 p.m. sleeping. On weekdays, and on Saturday he used to never come home.
Okay.
So he used to get drunk.
Right.
And and on Sundays, whatever happens, he was at church at 10 a.m.
Oh wow.
Right. So that is something that is very traditional, but yes, very modern as well. He's very peaceful. It's not an East Coast, it's not a West Coast. It's a very peaceful Midwest.
Right.
It's not that much activity, but then when you do activity, it is more like you know each other much more. Right. So US was a lot of fun. But yes, the age groups in our course were obviously people who were either looking at promotions in their own companies. Right. So they had just looked at some of the courses in our electives, and they had taken the evening classes for some, because some of our classes used to happen at 4. For them to also be part of it.
And I think US has this beautiful culture, right? People at any age are willing to go back to college and learn more and upskill themselves, which probably India people shy away from.
India people still shy away from it, but yes, these certifications that you see are very valuable. So one thing that is very valuable is that in India, basically you have colleges which are people don't have that attitude of going to colleges after they've joined a job, so they have these certification programs which actually are adding value. But
I think you miss on that on-campus experience.
On-campus experience,
it's
a very big thing. So we used to have some day classes and some others which were evening classes, and those were the classes where you used to have majorly all the senior guys.
Okay.
And senior guys obviously parties, can't talk to them about, but they will always have a very settled way of having. We used to go for dinners out, and we used to have a time with them, and we used to have our own way. They used to give us a lot of value. I'll tell you what value we got from them. See, it is basically the age, right? So you have a lot of they're like 50 years old, 40 years old people training with you, right, in the evening courses. So these guys were really well done up about real life. So they knew what the workspace was looking like and what was the expectation from them, and how you learned from them how they were first going to office, then coming home, going to a class, and then in the evening they were, after the class, they were actually doing the homework of the class, reading through the paperwork that they just went through in the class, and then handling the office as well.
Right.
So that thought was always inspiring. So
I think that gave you a glimpse of your future corporate life.
Yes, it gave me an understanding of that, and I said that it is doable because the experience that they have is actually causing them to delegate most of it, and the other parts they can concentrate on things like these, which is let's upskill, let's just find some value in the coursework that we're going through, so we can add value to the meeting room. Right. The conference room discussion should become more valuable for me as well. So those kind of conversations. And they used to have experiences like one guy managing Kazakhstan banking system. He was there, just there, right? So now he's currently funding all the infrastructure projects there. That kind of investments into government funding of infrastructure projects through a bank, and he leading the whole process. Those kind of experiences were like how over a period of time your experiences can give you that back of my hand running of your life, which is so easy for you to drive yourself towards, that you see them and you get inspired by their journey, that okay, they don't have to put effort into things. So for them, it is the experience is already telling them which path to take. How do you get that experience? Is through all the jitters and the lefts and rights and the failures, ups and downs that you get, and then you end up becoming something, right? So this is where the US culture was more structured, because it's an MBA course. It was more organized networking type of parties.
Slightly,
networking. So it was networking type of parties. Do you have a card? used to be the
Right.
point here, right? So, but then UK was because all age groups were more younger, right? So I was with a younger audience. My age group was around 7 of us in the class. So 3 were elder to me.
Just a 7?
Yes,
Person
in the whole, not the batch was 35 in
Okay.
the design school, and when we used to have classes in the business school, it was 220.
Oh.
In the business school, it was all mixed up, but
Right.
they were in one class. There were 220 people.
Wow.
So we used to make our own friends, and we used to have our own zones. We
Own
tried to,
groups,
yeah.
right.
So we used to find new ways of reaching out to others, but it was too much of energy. That we used to
Right.
find out that okay, how to go there and just say hello. We used to try our best, right? But in the design school, it was more 35 people, most of them young people, and with a fresh mind to everything. No boxes to break. They didn't even some people even did not have that box only. So one girl from Thailand is now heading she's a creative director in Saatchi and Saatchi in which is an agency. It's a big agency in Thailand as well, and she just never had a box. When she used to be in the creative side of the team, when you have her, you know that this girl will always make you win.
Okay.
Because she will have a thinking which is so deep and so different that your advertising campaign or the product or the design problem solving approach will have a very wild change to the thought, and then everyone will say this is the most creative move
Okay.
that this group could do. So we were very confident. We were very confident when we got that person in the game. Right? So some people so we understood how to find different ways of looking at different types of people who had their own expertise, their own way of looking at a problem. So this opened up the thinking that okay, there is one more thing that okay, you should have diverse people in your group. So in the later period of time when I started my startup, all decision making is always shared with the whole team. So it's a 360-degree kind of understanding, even when they do not have any experience of it. Whatever is the thing, the only thing is that they will not be made fun of and they can add value to the room. So this is what got me the thinking from the University of Leeds part. University of Leeds being young people, the parties were amazing. Right? So
everybody's willing to go wild.
they were far more youthful in their way of having fun. The teacher was also throwing parties.
Oh wow.
So he
That's
was also
great.
saying that because you need to switch off, you need to learn how to switch off. So
And that's how you get your creative energy.
but yes, you will do it with us, so you know that there is a limit to every creativity. So he used to do that in a group where he used to say that okay, tonight is beer night because you spent a lot of time. So the classroom used to change into a beer night.
The classroom itself.
The classroom itself. So it
Amazing.
was a very different kind of classroom. It was a sunroom,
Okay.
which had a class happening in it. That also gave us the openness of things, the totally different viewpoint of everything that was organized, project management, MBA, finance, marketing. It was not that. It was majorly creative, art, design, thinking out of the box, looking at the customer with a very psychological psychoanalysis of the person, understanding what the brief is, understanding what the customer is. Maybe are we designing for the customer today or are we designing for the customer 5 years from now? What will we define the customer base as at that time? So those kind of creative thinkings were what went there. So this college also had some very nice visits from a lot of celebrity artists as well, which was kind of amazing. The poster making by Abraham Games, so the daughter of Abraham Games comes in and she talks about illustration in the age of 1942. In 1942, how World War posters and all those things, 1935 to 1942, what were the World War posters and how Abraham Games designed them, and what was his confidence level, and how when there was no Illustrator, when there was no software that you use today, how he reached a point where his artwork used to look like a vector art, and
it was hand drawn.
It was hand drawn with a tool that he had made himself.
So he was a
nobody-
technologist also.
So he made the product that he needed. Right? So
Oh.
he knew how to make a need to be fulfilled for himself. So this is where the whole thing is that if you are designing something, you need to find a need.
Right.
It should not be like okay. So this is what my inclination was. So there has to be a need. So this is the University of Leeds and college experience.
And then I think after that you joined Ogilvy. Right after that.
Ogilvy happened in the middle while MBA had happened. So I took the Sprint PCS job,
Right.
and then I worked on a little bit of Ogilvy for 9 to 10 months.
Oh, so after Sprint PCS.
Yes, when I came to India, I worked with Mumbai team on one of their
So
projects.
you worked at your own agency and then IDEASHACKS and then Ogilvy.
Yes, right.
So how did you break into Ogilvy? I think that's not an easy feat to do.
No, I just sent in some emails with the accounts management team. I just sent them, and it was more referral driven. So I sent my portfolio of work I had done. They gave me the option of do you want to go creative side or account planning side. So I took. So they also told me that you are ready for account planning. Creative might not be your forte right now. You might try your best, but there are many creative people in Ogilvy.
Right.
You will not be able to compete. So you should learn from them. So you should be around them. Create the account planning part where you're good at analysis and structure, and because of that, I worked there on a project, and post that I thought that okay, let's do this. Let's go back to a little bit of coursework again.
Right. So you broke into Ogilvy before University of
Yeah,
Leeds.
and that was a very organic way of entering. So it was not more of me applying to any job posting. It was more like I just wanted to get that experience, so I sent the resume in.
Okay, that's
And found a guy online.
Okay.
Just like you have LinkedIn today, we used to
Right.
see them in directories in advertising agencies. When I was with Van Winkle, RTW, we used to reach out to these people who are competing with us.
Okay.
Right, so they used to compete with us on pitches, and they used to always win.
Okay.
Right, but then I used to have those contacts of people because I used to find a backdoor entry into these clients and then ask them who is the guy who takes you, right?
Okay.
What was the team, right? So I reached out to one of them and I said I really appreciate your work.
Okay.
Would love to work with your team in whatever way possible. So they gave me an opportunity,
Amazing.
right? So then to make it deeper, go deeper, went to University of Leeds and then done.
Yeah, I mean that's a beautiful story. I mean, you got into Ogilvy, you got that.
But now looking at the story, you will understand now.
Right.
A technology kind of business analyst kind of a person.
Right.
Moving to the design side, people saying, why are you killing yourself? And then over a period of time becoming a structured thought.
Right.
So there is everything is possible as long as the story ends up joining the dots. That's what I found out.
Right.
So University of Leeds, after University of Leeds, I came back to India, and at that point I was very structured and I knew that I was going into one direction. I wanted to do something which was product plus software product plus creative. So went into one
How
small
did the
startup.
software bug come along?
Software bug came along because I saw that e-commerce was rising at that point in India.
That was 2012.
Yeah, 2011, 2012. 2010, 2011, e-commerce was rising. So we had Make My Trips, which were already established.
Oh, right.
InfoEdge, Naukri.com was already there.
Right.
So that kind of became one kind of understanding that okay, there is something that value can be given online, where the customer experience, the user experience also becomes something that is also the journey of the customer. So got really interested in that. So when I came back, I
Is
found
this something that you picked up reading online,
Yeah.
being in touch with what's happening in the world?
Yeah, so lots of colleagues working out of Naukri.com.
Okay.
That was the early side of kind of the e-commerce part, I will call it.
Okay.
So these were the big guys, and then there were smaller guys like Hotmail had just come in around 2019.
Right.
No, not 2019,
Right.
1999.
Oh, 1999.
Yeah. So
Hotmail was
the
over.
Hotmail was already, that one thing was there, right? So this and two more small startups had come up.
Right.
Now at this moment, I found out one when I was applying for a job when I was in India. I applied my own thing because I was coming from UK to India. So I looked at myguesthouse.com, which was one job opportunity that I found that okay, this is something that is great. Let's see what stage they are. So they were e-commerce for guest houses, and they were owning a database which was being built on offers that were that could not be broken by larger brands because the offer was so great that the hotel never shifted to a larger brand.
Okay.
So the database was yours, and nobody wanted and nobody could ever get those hotels into their database. And
Because the commission that they charge was very less.
yeah, commissions, the product that they were looking at, they never questioned about the hotel. They helped them to little bit improve on their hotel, but not like Oyo. Just like we will list you, we will give you this offer, and you will revert your money back in 3 days, not 7 days, right? So
Which Make My Trip was doing.
yeah. So in the later period of time,
So these USPs, they were able to compete with Make My Trip.
agreed.
It's their own niche.
So they were able to get a database. Right now, the database Make My Trip had discovered already for them. So they had said that we will come and take over your database. So put a price.
Right.
Okay, so they had already put a price to Make My Trip that okay, this is the initial price, but yes, you will have to wait for 8 months and then we'll come back and renegotiate. That's the kind of conversation the directors had already had.
The My Guest House.
Yes, the My Guest House had told the Make My Trip team.
Okay.
So it was serendipity that I was applying and they were hiring. So I went in and I looked at the whole web design and web development part of it, the whole middleware, backend database, and the front end UX UI design for around 6.5 months. And we converted a full website, which was a very bad experience that they could not value in front of Make My Trip. But then when the product came out, the whole product was a better user experience, and they were able to say that the UX is now also a USP in the price.
Right.
So that is where the
They
whole
could
value.
take in the price for that.
Yes. So
Acquisition.
yes. So they could value themselves a little higher, right? So that is where my role became a very more valuable thing. So then I came into contact with Arjun Chadha, who's the co-founder of 91 Springboard, was the co-founder of 91 Springboard. Now he's also a member of it, and then he now runs Bit3 as well,
Right.
in New Goa. So he was one of the first mentors I had. So he basically drove me in the direction of how to look at a problem, how to think creatively, and how to delegate well.
So I think Arjun Chadha was the founder of My Guest House.
He was one of the co-founders.
I think you had an interesting story about your interview experience also, right?
Yeah. So when I was looking for a job, I went in for the interview. I found out that Arjun Chadha is from my high school only.
Okay.
And he used to run races, the one I was talking about
The
earlier.
100-meter dash?
Yes, so he used to also run with me, and he was also into a little bit of sport. So we knew each other very nicely. And the interview was serendipity, so I understood that if you put effort, things just start becoming quick. So this is what it is, right? So serendipity works when you have put effort.
Right.
It never works when serendipity can happen, but you will not be able to get value out of it.
I mean, I guess you need to like increase your luck wala surface area by doing a bunch of things.
And also doing a lot of effort into your stuff. So if the respect to a relationship is when you have added value to it.
Right.
Otherwise, you're disrespecting it, and you should not enter that relationship.
Right.
You should always say that it is better not to do it right now because I can't add value to you. So this is where the whole interesting story happened. That the interview happened, and he realized, oh my God, you're from my high school. But then that also became something which was a value for both of us. We were very open with each other. We still are, and he became my mentor. He was very open to become my mentor, and I found myself very lucky to be in his Chhatrochaya.
Right. Chhatrochaya.
Chhatrochaya, yes. Basically, over a period of time, I learned a lot how to break a problem down into smaller pieces, how to look at a problem from a new perspective, from a UX part of view. So he guided me in terms of how to just go and do it, right? Not think too much, because if you keep on thinking too much, you're planning too much, you're getting into a blackout mode. So it was an industrial experience.
It was a startup, I guess, and things moved.
It was a startup.
faster
We
pace.
were the 8 people in Arjun Chadha's team, called the My Guest House team. And then there were junior employees who were also shared with an IT firm on the lower floor of that building.
Okay.
So I used to work full day with that IT team to develop the UX, and then come up and give reports to Varun, and then have a nice time with him, in the sense that whenever he was there, I used to find time to not be in the project management mode, but more of ideation mode. So I used to sit with him, and we used to talk about crazy things like why can't, for example, at that time, no travel portal had one single bar for search.
Right.
So why can't we have that?
Like put in a destination and get everything sorted out.
Or just put a sentence the way you are thinking. Just put it there, and it should just find the way to give you the results, right? So the
Like
results
the
based
AI
on-
things that are coming up right now.
So the conversations were happening, but obviously we didn't define it like AI, but we were always thinking that there is Google.
Right.
At that time there was Google. So why can't Google be more precise in understanding and guide the person to how to write a sentence
Right.
in that box to get a result, right? Why are
Rather
we
than
filling
the
5
person.
entries? Why are we giving from this date to this date, these many people, on how to click 5 times you click, and then you reach the submit button.
Right.
Why?
Yeah. I mean, something
so-
like I want to go to Bali with my 5 friends in
Yes.
first week of June.
Yes. So now it should just give you some options in a
Right.
way that it is your friend, the way it is doing right now.
Right.
It has reached that point, right? So those are discussions that used to happen in 2012, 13, right? So 2012, these were the closed room discussions in every startup, I believe. I'm a firm believer that if you are thinking and talking to someone, somebody else is also in a parallel universe in this world only is thinking
Of the
and
same
of
idea.
the same idea and doing it also.
Right.
So you just have a 3-month window to execute.
Right.
If you don't execute in the 3-month window, somebody else will obviously show his face to you who is doing the exact same thing.
Right.
So we had a lot of ideas in that room. We were in the beginning also thinking, can we make an Indian WebMD, webmd.com. There is at that point Practo had just come in,
Oh, right, those times, yes.
and then we were
But
thinking
wasn't that tangential to your business?
Yeah.
But you still were like openly editing different industries.
Yes. So basically, what we were doing is that we were in the source where I'll tell you how these things became a co-working space brand.
Oh, okay.
Right. So this wild thinking, then this every product, every problem, we were finding problems every day. So we were trying to find out, okay, this could be the problem that the customer is facing. So I think we should change the product thinking from this point to this point, right? So over a period of time, we understood that okay, this is the final UX, and we are going to show it to my client. Right.
Okay.
So from myguesthouse.com, I moved to PayTM after that, and Barun started 91 Springboard. Again, the kida of doing always having my own products, doing something new, creating new products, new expectations from clients over a period of time were fading away because I was 2.5 years in PayTM.
Right.
And in the beginning, we were doing a lot of crazy stuff. So I was known for the guy, if you are getting some thing that you're stuck on and you don't have the thinking of doing it, we have an executor who can just go in and find the problem, try to fail on his own, and then create the solution and show it to you that in the end it was executed.
Okay.
It is not someone who will talk about it, कि कैसे होगा. So in the room, he will not say कैसे होगा. He will say, okay, this is the problem. Okay, इसमें कौन से vendors के पास आप गए? Who was the technology guy you worked with? He will try to solve from the first point on. So you need a problem solver, not a planner right now. So
Right.
too much of planning,
Creative thinking, innovation.
creative thinking, taking things head on was the experience that was already built. Because of all the failures and the successes, it became that. So
before delving into PayTM experience, like
Yeah.
I think you had a lot of experience in ad agencies and everything.
Yeah.
So heading the UI part at My Guest House and just working
Yeah.
on the acquisition,
Yeah.
driving the acquisition value more, and the UI UX specific.
Mine was
that-
more of a product role,
Okay.
right? I was only into making the product look, function, be usable in a better way.
So you were still able to use your past knowledge into bringing the user
Correct.
experience to the website.
Correct. The empathy to the customer had already started becoming some value that we had already started seeing. Right. In my journey also, empathy to the customer is what was the main driver of everything that I started doing. So myguesthouse.com was first of all, it was aesthetically not looking like anything closer to the functionality that we were benchmarking against.
Right.
Secondly, the UX of it was not. It was a very jittery journey of a customer from filling up a form to going to the search listing, and then the detail page, and then from the detail page to the payment gateway, and then from the payment gateway to the payment, the actual payment. It was a very painful process for the customer because in the middle data packets were being lost because the server was not the right server they were aligning to. So it used to have a very jittery kind of switching off, switching on.
So there were
on random
technical
times.
things involved.
Technical things in the back end.
Oversee.
So it was more of having the right people to work for you, but you had an idea of the empathy of the customer.
And you use that as the driving force to design the experience.
Yes, and the experience became something which then looked like a website which was more stable. It reached a point where a customer, how do you build trust? You build trust in e-commerce when the flow of the user from the page 1 to the payment gateway,
Right.
okay, is the least and the most informational with the least of clicks, right? This is what I wanted to achieve with it. At that point, we reached a point where we used to say that, okay, the fourth step is the payment step,
Okay.
right? It should not be anything else. There should be no pop-ups, nothing else, no offers. You need to make the offers come on the right side or the left side so that it does not take away the purpose of the intentful customer. The
Right.
intentful customer has come to ask for an intent. He's asking for something. Please make his journey that way.
Right.
Right? This communication can be a retargeting campaign through an advertising platform like a Google Ads. You can run it through retargeting. Please don't put it on this website.
The
all
coupons,
ads.
offers.
The coupons, offers, everything.
Those
should
not
not.
distracting to the buying experience.
The buying experience needs to be functionally nice, right? Which is now everyone's understanding. Obviously, at that time it was something that we thought that we are doing something very big.
But you got to crack the code before the big players like Amazon, Flipkart.
But the only
everybody
value
has
we got out of it was that a big company was able to value us higher, right? So this is what the co-founders were also happy about, that we were able to value higher the whole thing, that okay, this looks better than before, works better than before. So I was more of a product guy,
Okay.
right? But very close to the director who was into the valuation of things,
Right.
right? So Varun being one of the directors, and he being the one who's selling also the whole startup and moving on.
Okay.
So this was an experience that gave me a very blitzkrieg kind of experience of 8 months of quick iterations, working with a team that had close to minimal knowledge of, I will call it, backend, and then creating that backend team very fast so that everything functions very nicely. The database talks to the middleware, and middleware talks to the front end.
I mean, very few people get to see that acquisition journey and be an active participant in that acquisition.
So I always recommend everyone take the startup journey. College is okay, but startup journey is the best journey you can have. You will fail so much that in the end you will say that there is nothing to lose. I always have everything to win. There's nothing to lose.
The only way is up now.
His only way is up, right? So those moments will happen again and again, and you will feel that over a period of time, those moments will become structured for you. Over a period of time, you will always say that okay, this story is now easier to handle.
Right.
That easier to handle just starts becoming amazing, right? They say who is successful? The one who's having money and showing cars? No, it is the guy who is actually moving in every direction, keep on delivering, failing, delivering, failing, delivering, failing. One day you understand that okay, now I don't fail on the other earlier failures, I fail on the newer failures.
Right.
And what happens in the end is you have become something that you can always be very happy to see, and this is what I've become.
Right.
So I don't have that much of experience. There are many mentors I also have. I am just 40 years old, but there are many who have guided me over a bit of time. It reached a point where a customer, how do you build trust? You build trust in an e-commerce when the flow of the user from the page 1 to the payment gateway,
Right.
okay, is the least and the most informational with the least of clicks, right? This is what I wanted to achieve with it. At that point, we reached a point where we used to say that okay, the fourth step is the payment step.
Okay.
Right? It should not be anything else. There should be no pop-ups, no nothing else, no offers. You need to make the offers come on the right side or the left side so that it does not take away the purpose of the intentful customer. The
Right.
intentful customer has come to ask for an intent. He's asking for something. Please make his journey that way. Right? This communication can be a retargeting campaign through an advertising platform like a Google Ads. You can run it through retargeting. Please don't put it on this website.
The
all
coupons,
ads.
offers.
The coupons, offers, everything.
Those
should
are
not
distracting to the buying experience.
The buying experience needs to be functionally nice, right? Which is now everyone's understanding, obviously. At that time, it was something that we thought that we are doing something very big.
But you had to crack the code before the big players came, like Amazon, Flipkart.
But the
everybody
only
else.
value we got out of it was that a big company was able to value us higher, right? So this is what the co-founders were also happy about, that we were able to value higher the whole thing, that okay, this looks better than before, works better than before. So I was more of a product guy,
Okay.
right? But very close to the director who was into the valuation of things.
Right.
Right, so Varun being one of the directors, and he being the one who's selling also the whole startup and moving on.
Okay.
So this was an experience that gave me a very blitzkrieg kind of experience of 8 months of quick iterations, working with a team that had close to minimal knowledge of, I will call it, backend, and then creating that backend team very fast so that everything functions very nicely. The database talks to the middleware, middleware talks to the front end.
I mean, very few people get to see that acquisition journey and be an active participant in that acquisition.
So I always recommend everyone take the startup journey. College is okay, but startup journey is the best journey you can have. You will fail so much that in the end you will say that there is nothing to lose. I always have everything to win. There's nothing to lose.
The only way is up now.
His only way is up, right? So those moments will happen again and again, and you will feel that over a period of time, those moments will become structured for you. Over a period of time, you will always say that okay, this story is now easier to handle.
Right.
That easier to handle just starts becoming amazing, right? They say who is successful? The one who's having money and showing cars? No, it is the guy who is actually moving in every direction, keep on delivering, failing, delivering, failing, delivering, failing. One day you understand that okay, now I don't fail on the other earlier failures, I fail on the newer failures.
Right.
And what happens in the end is you have become something that you can always be very happy to see, and this is what I've become.
Right.
So I don't have that much of experience. There are many mentors I also have. I am just 40 years old, but there are many who have guided me over a bit of time. There have been good people who have guided me. There have been bad people who have guided me.
Okay.
But you need both. If you just have one,
Right. You're not able to differentiate what's good and bad.
yeah. So you need to have all those, right? So
Right.
we had all those. So after my guest house,
So how did PayTM happen?
so PayTM happened through an interview.
Okay.
It was just I was now
Similarly
looking at okay
applying.
now, because obviously the valuation stage had come
Okay.
for the my guest house part.
Okay.
My 8-month stint was over.
Right. It was getting acquired.
It was getting acquired, and they were saying that okay, let's take our own direction. So all of us, the 9 people, were looking for something better. So I went into an interview with PayTM in the product marketing team, product team, and I got the position of a product
Product manager.
product manager, product assistant manager. We started with.
Okay.
The whole experience was amazing. There was a lot of learning. We were in Sector 1, the first office, which used to have 197 as the logo outside.
Right.
And then over a period of time, as we worked together with a team which was amazing, we ended up becoming a company which was now renamed in front of us as PayTM. That was a moment.
I think the
And
board
the building board changed for PayTM, and we saw that our contribution was there. So that is where the
that actual board changing happened right in front of you,
Yes.
sitting,
Yes.
looking at the window.
Yes. So the main thing that I liked about PayTM at that time was it was actually called 197 Communications, but it was a new company, lots of people, lots of different capabilities, and they were trying to create their own niche and trying to find their products and all those things. In that journey, we designed some products of payment gateways and all those things as a company, and then we took it to Vijay Shekhar Sharma. So we took it to Vijay Shekhar Sharma, and we promoted that flow. So that is where the flow became PayTM over a period of time. But the journey of PayTM has been amazing, and I'm very inspired by Vijay Shekhar Sharma, the way he has built it. One time we found out, so this was another deep step that moved me towards co-working.
Okay.
So Varun had already moved towards co-working. He had started 91 Springboard. And then there was Vijay Shekhar Sharma, who was also doing such a thing that he also wanted to get connected to the new age startups, what is happening in the market. So the best way for him to find what he wanted to discover, he ended up giving empty base to other startups. Right, within his building. So he used to say that, okay, I will not put that much of investment in you, but your operational expenses are taken care of by me. So what that used to give us as a people in PayTM was an opportunity to look at a business which is not run by Vijay Shekhar Sharma. Right. There is no structure to going up to Vijay Shekhar Sharma and creating that value for him. It is more of a place where a new product has entered and they have full freedom to work on their product, and you can become a part of that team and consider yourself that you're not part of 197 anymore for a while. Right. You can work with them. You can really switch off your 197 PayTM mode and move out of that and move towards something which was a product which was totally different, totally with a different story. A co-founder which was as good as Vijay Shekhar Sharma, working on something else. Yes, he found them in the right ecosystems and he gave them the right opportunity, and they were very thankful for that opportunity. I used to see that happening. Meeting rooms were converted into dedicated desks for people who were just their own gaming app at that time. Then there was one women coming back to work product which was Flexi Moms, headed by Sally Chehel, who also is a very respectful person in the industry. She's amazing in the way she delivers to requirements and how she has created an ecosystem for women in India. So she occupying a bay opposite to you, and you getting an opportunity to look at how a startup is being created in front of you while you're working on the day-to-day, right. Which is a job holder's duty. You also get some innovative ways of looking at, okay, why is this happening in this product? And you're getting an opportunity to work with them also on small parts of it. So basically the profile page or anything UX driven, anything they wanted to do, they always used to see that, okay, there is some resource around me. Do I have to spend on it? They used to say, no, I can't spend on it. So we used to get an opportunity to enter it. Right. So we used to take a sabbatical from our work for around 1 week, 10 days, 15 days.
But you're still coming to the same office and helping them.
Yeah, you're coming to the same office, you have the same systems. Your boss has told you that, okay, take your 7 days off. You're here. If I need something, I will definitely ask you. You can always deliver on them. But if you want to work on something new, yes, you have full freedom to work on. So that was something that Vijay Shekhar Sharma created really well. So innovation was happening inside the organization.
I think a lot of
you would just
startups came out of that place.
So PayTM is now officially or unofficially, you call it, is a PayTM gang.
Right.
So wherever you go, you will find someone who is doing a good stuff coming out of PayTM. So examples being Dalchini.
Okay.
If you know Dalchini, it's a vending machine startup.
Oh.
And they do IoT driven vending machines. Which on the basis of weight, the vending machine knows that this item is missing from the vending machine. So every day one guy just automatically comes and refills it.
Okay, so it sends these notifications.
Yeah, it sends notifications. It has an app. PayTM, with PayTM you can pay on the tablet. The thing gets down. The prices are the lowest. You will not get that price with any other vending machine. And their team is amazing. It came out of PayTM, one girl who used to be in the product team there.
Okay.
Then another startup which has come out is Park Plus.
Okay.
If you know Park Plus, the Amit Lakotia is from PayTM. He used to be around us, colleagues. We used to work on different database questions and all those things. So now he owns his own startup. How is that happening? Because IDEASHACKS Sharma has one amazing thing. He is a very big finder of people who are in the right contexts. So if you are found from his company going out to this, he will say that Arjun, mat bataya kariye sab, but it is something that, but it's fine, he'll like it. Is that when you go to an event and you find IDEASHACKS Sharma, and IDEASHACKS Sharma finds you being a part of that event in a positive way, while working with him also, he will give you an opportunity. He's not like there is some levels between me and you. There has to be a skip. I'm your co-founder of the company. I have some ear to me. There's nothing like that. He will get you into a room. You will be part of those discussions which you never dreamed of. So those are things that I liked about him. The way he built PayTM is because of this. That a lot of people have been getting their basic support of starting something new within itself. Right?
And does that still happen? Do they still give?
They still do it, and they have now expanded their locations across India, so it happens at a scale, scale levels. And they are always invested into all the people who come out of that PayTM.
Kind of thing.
Whatever this organization they call the PayTM gang, basically they are also being sponsored and put into the direction by IDEASHACKS Sharma.
Right.
And they have really done well because they have understood what the need is. Right. So when we needed in our co-working space a vending machine, it was very natural to go to your colleague and just ask him, please give it.
Right.
So
the Genie connections and all of that.
and this is a very big solution for spaces like ours. Right. So
Right.
I'll tell you that detail in the next part. So this is what PayTM experience was, right? So this is where the whole energy of a large organization also open for innovation in smaller pockets of the building.
Right.
You can just walk in and you can just look at conversations which are not 197 PayTM. Which was
You had like 1,000 people at PayTM at that point, and then within this large company you had this smaller startups.
Smaller startups, one-room startups, two people only trying to do something, failing.
Within a single job,
Yeah.
you had these multi-dimensional experiences,
Yeah,
which was crazy, which IDEASHACKS Sharma created.
Yeah, and that's what everyone appreciates about him, and everyone understands that he understands people from the commercial point of view. He understands startups. He understands how to create value. It is not always about money. Sometimes you just need a support function. So the flag of being in an ecosystem where conversations of innovations are happening every day, so we can pick and choose of what we want to work on,
Right.
was put when 197 was happening for me, and then Varun Chawla was in 91 Springboard, so I used to go for events in those locations, and I used to look at AWS events that he used to do and all those events that he used to do. And he used to design it really crazy way. So he had a design sense, which was this was the first time that a co-working space came with phone booths and gaming arcades.
Okay.
Gaming arcade. Yeah, so he had arcades.
Space?
Yeah, so he had
That's
arcade games and he had pool tables and all those things at that time. This was 2012, I think.
Yeah, I think they
2012 after that.
must have been one of the pioneers then.
So at that scale in India they were like the first three or fourth, right? The fourth one in India as a whole.
Amazing.
But then they grew really fast because he also has a technique of finding the right people at the right time.
Right.
So he found two co-founders and they really contributed to the growth of 91 Springboard, which became a 38 site before COVID. And they were organized in the sense that all coding for automation in the building used to happen in-house. So meeting rooms were automated and those things. So and also finance was managed, ecosystems were picked up. So 91 Springboard became synonymous with overall making the ecosystem move in the direction. Right? So this vision
connected with startups and doing related events and everything.
Yes, and putting that effort from the founder side to make sure that these events are done and the ecosystem is being made, even if it costs to the company. Is this cost a positive cost to the company? Is it a marketing ploy or is it a ecosystem building? They understood it far better than the new age co-working spaces which are builder driven, more of per seat prices.
Transactional, very.
It's more transactional. It's more transactional these days. But yes, there's so we do not compete with them in a way that we say that when you graduate from us, you can definitely you should have your own office.
Right.
And at that point, you become independent in that. At that point, the focus then becomes for you to look at a seed table kind of full expanse for your company. And that company should have its own way of driving the whole function, because the company has graduated out of ecosystems like ours. And
You're talking about PayTM?
Similar, not PayTM was a product-driven incubation kind of. 91 Springboard was more of co-working spaces, which were also ecosystems for startups to learn from.
Okay.
So you used to go for courses and all those things inside it only.
They had
So they had small courses by brands. So brands also were the subject matter experts of each category of course that you want. So they used to come in, they used to do events, and they used to incubator cells used to come in. There was reverse pitch. A reverse pitch was happening.
all of this within 91 Springboard.
Yeah. So they used to do it, right? So this is what the motivation was. So then, over a period of time after PayTM, I then moved to a small agency again, a little bit, for 6 months. But I was actually, that was a stepping stone. I was not concentrating on it. I just had an interview and they just selected. So I did not put too much effort to it. But then, Magnum TVWA.
Right. But they also have like large clients, HP, Philips.
Yeah. So they had large clients. We worked on it, but I was more of a product UX kind of a person.
Okay.
Right, as you know the journey before that, right? So basically design, product, plus little bit of marketing understanding because of design thinking, right? So wanted to be in the media industry, but in an organized way, more organized way. So went to GroupM. Now GroupM again is GroupM being M-named agencies.
And did that also happen through a simple application and then you getting an interview? GroupM?
Now this was something that I was pulled to. So
Oh.
basically I was in PayTM, so I delivered some solutions and some products. So
You
one
had an interesting story to tell about PayTM, right? How did you deliver that 7-week project and that?
So it was a happy moment with Sari Chehel that she gave me an opportunity to work on one of the first user profiles of Flexi Moms as an e-commerce platform for job hunting for women.
Right.
And women who were coming back to work basically. So that was a 7-day amazing hackathon kind of a way of working with the co-founder, where we were trying to build the first profile page.
Okay.
And we designed the first profile page, whatever quality that was, but the journey was amazing, right? So we made the first profile page. What were the functionalities that a woman would need? What is she easy to operate on? Where is this age group of women currently looking for jobs? What kind of apps does she have in her phone? That kind of research also happening in the middle. We're doing a very sample study inside 197 only, finding all the people from all the floors. So they were around 1,500 employees.
That's
so
beautiful.
We were able to get around 70 women,
Amazing.
out of which 50 women responded in a positive way. And they gave us some feedback that I am this age group and this is what I look for when I'm looking for a job and all those things. So look at the value that IDEASHACKS created, right, for the startups. There was an ecosystem that was already in there, so you could get the research done within.
Yeah, like user interviews were so simple.
So simple, right?
You
At
just
that time, yeah.
walk and do a user interview.
So we used to do that, right? So the result came and we made the whole functionality. 7 days of amazing, sometimes wireframes being made, sometimes flows being made, flows and wireframes, lots of changes, then going back to the flow and then coming back with 7 days, okay, this is the 7th day, now we need to complete the wireframe.
Right.
At that moment, we were like at 1 a.m., the 12 to 1, I think, we both are sitting and the final thing is being made for her to look at and then forward it to her investors and people that this will be the user profile,
Okay.
the page that will come up. So we got a sabbatical from my work, kind of 7 days, and it was a new way of looking at things. So that was very helpful and very happy, and created a new way of how any big founder should always like the lowest of the low and the highest of the high.
Right.
Any founder should always be ready for both. If you are not ready for both, you're only ready for highest of the high, please don't do your own business, please join a job.
Right.
So you will be asked to answer things that are not your forte, and you will have to know the best knowledge in the room. So how will you take your time out and know the best knowledge in the room?
You have to figure
About
out. You
that.
should be comfortable.
So that is something that was the humbling factor of a business that actually creates. The more risk you take, the more value you create, but the more effort you put in diverse things as well, because the business is asking for it. If the business is asking for it, how can you be behind it? You have to deliver, right? So this was one thing that I learned from that also. So she should not have sat with me and done that user experience. She could have just said that, okay, this guy from my team who's working on the UX will work with you. Can you please make it better for us? Right? But no, she wanted to take it over. She wanted to sit there. She wanted to get it done like a coder. At the age that she was at that time, also she was very. She was not a young person like I was. I was around 29 or 30. Right? So 29, 30. What will you contribute, right? But she had an experience which was very large, and even then she was putting hours with me. Very college way of looking at things. The way she did a hackathon kind of thing. So very appreciable. Very amazing.
I think you had a similar story when you were doing the Hero campaign, 7-day building an app and delivering it, crunch mode.
Again, the main thinking of, for example, people used to say that if you want to get something executed,
right,
and you don't have the forte, please give it to Arjun, maybe he will find a forte,
right,
and he will create that forte from scratch and then create something that you will like. So being that, so one project nobody wanted to put their hands on. It was an IoT driven project. It was more of IoT. AI was nothing there, but it was more of IoT. Majorly an arm that comes over a Yamaha. It was a hero project where we were looking at a bike, and anyone who comes on the bike, it should sense that a person is there.
Right.
And then it used to do a timer and then move around the whole person, the arm or robotic arm. So it was a very makerspace tinkering kind of an experience where we took a fan, took its motor out,
Okay.
put a big metal pipe underneath, put a camera on it, and then finished it with some paint and everything so that it looked better. Then the motor did not perform. So in the night, over a period of time, we had to find a solution. So at night at 2 a.m., somebody is running to find a new motor of the fan, which is more powerful in volts. So they got the new motor, we put that in.
Okay.
App
was not able to handle the load.
And once the picture was done, a picture used to come out of a camera in the front.
Oh wow.
And so in the mobile thing, I got this also. I call it a holiday for me. So
that was a project you did for PayTM?
This was while we were at PayTM. One client was asking, right? Then we did a F1 games. Boost was the brand which wanted an F1 game to Apple.
Right, that was
when the this
F1 was
happening in India the first time and the last time I believe. So there was a app being made on Boost. It was a promotional app where people used to play the game online everywhere in India, anywhere in India, and they used to win prizes on the basis of the leaderboard. So there was a leaderboard. There is an app that is running on a server which has to move, and very light game that needs to work when anyone in any part of India is playing it, right, with any type of bandwidth. So he is able to see a racing car with a steering, and then it goes on a road, and then you have to beat other people, right? And then leaderboard happens, and then you get a prize. It is sent by the brand to you. First, you get an SMS that you won, and then you send. So from the back, it is a full product flow. So that project happened for 7 days, hackathon kind of way again.
Building this for scale within 7 days with these many features.
Yeah. So it was a 24 hours kind of ordeal for 4 of those days. 7 days. Out of those 7 days, 4 of those days was 24 hours work.
Wow.
And then 2 hours of sleep, and then changing the other person that okay, tu ab so ja, ab dusre ko bhej de. We delivered, we executed, we did a good job, the customer liked it. So these kind of moving out of the flow happened when the project was already delivered. Other projects in PayTM were already delivered,
and you could go and do these experiments.
And I was looking at what is the main pull again after 2 years of being there. What is the new pull that I need to really work on? As we moved away from singular product being user flow driven successes that we used to deliver to clients on pitches and all those things that used to happen for products that we used to design for each client separately, I moved to basically a point where I used to now think that okay, now need to think of products of my own. Now need to think of things of my own, because the way these startups are doing in 197, why can't I do something like this for my own self?
Right, you had enough experience with these multiple apps within PayTM.
Yeah, so it is always the day's problem that you're solving, and you can always build something that way. You don't have to think the whole product on the first day.
Right.
So that is what drove the whole story towards then going to GroupM, trying another ad network kind of execution, still giving pitches to clients on the products and everything that we had. So it is more media planning kind of agency, which also was building up the ad network part to it. So we were moving on both sides. So basically product marketing also, so making pitches for clients on the product that we already have. and also looking at ad networks and trying to create a value for the team and try to create something which the industry is having a friction for. So the industry does not want the media planners to not have work, and the media planners trying to sell the clients things that cannot be delivered through an app or through an ad network, because they are packaging it with things that are not advertising driven many times as well. So for example, if you want to crack a deal, you will not only give the solution that you pitch, you will also give something that actually makes the deal happen. Now that something else was killing the ad network.
Interesting. We have like an example of that.
So for example, one guy says that, okay, I need 100 microwaves in my company, then I'll give you the project.
Is that something?
Right, so it is not connected to the mobile function, the product. So the whole thing now can't be beaten, because a sales guy is a sales guy. How will you sell for a price point of around 4 crores of a deal, right? You have to go left and right, you have to be human, you have to be finding new solutions where there is a lot of requirement from the client that, okay, because we are experimenting with mobile, because of advertising as an advertising medium, is it good for us to just take the experiment? So they were asking for protections and all those things. Now how an ad network will provide that protection? At that time, InMobi was doing really well.
Right.
InMobi was amazingly done up that way. So entering that market was also another thing that was very difficult to enter, while the media planners in your agency are saying, when you have InMobi as your vendor, why would you need your own ad network when you have an ad network already InMobi in your repertoire and you can sell it to the customer?
InMobi was like self-serve, anybody would come up.
Yes, so you can and they used to give better prices to GroupM, because GroupM being the channel media investment firm which used to buy all media across all platforms in the beginning of the year. So if any agency wants to buy any media, any agency like Ogilvy and all these bigger ones, they had to come to GroupM because they had already bought that inventory and it was there with them. Right. They already paid for in bulk. So they used to buy, they still buy all the inventory across all media channels, and then they sell it at a better price to people, right? So,
right. To make the profit.
Yeah, to make the profit. So that is what they did. So at that moment, this whole journey and an ad network in the middle was something that we failed on again. We tried our best to reach the end moment, but yes, ad networks and the mobile division of GroupM did not work well, because they already had vendors who had better ad networks. Google Ads was a vendor to GroupM. InMobi was a vendor to GroupM. Silver Push was is another brand which also does TV advertising through the set-top boxes. So they used to automate it from a distance, so every remote ad can be run from your ad campaign from remotely on TVs at one point of time, and you can measure each viewership and those kind of things. So these are the vendors. So majorly we tried, we failed, but then my idea for startup was already there that I have to do on my own. So I went into a number of interviews for co-working spaces because I was really interested in it.
Like starting one of your own?
Yeah, starting one of my own. So went into interviews with other co-working spaces and looked at how can I join the strategic team or something product, if there is some product opportunity. So one research came out that, okay, Faridabad is not being taken care of and they will not take care of it because the research is only online based. A form that goes online and they tend to see the results from the form and then they say that, okay, I think Faridabad doesn't need a co-working space.
Without if you look at just the online data,
yes,
that's somebody would form the analysis.
Yes, so that was the online data that was telling them, which is the interview process that was telling us that, okay, this is something that is happening, okay. And my insight was, yes, I'm also getting the same research where the people are saying that we don't need anything in Faridabad. Because when we go from our workspace, our family says, okay, if you're going to Gurgaon, Delhi or Noida. But they don't know Faridabad that much because Faridabad has not ever, in the recent history, experienced something which is not industrial, which is commercial. Right? So the expectation of the family is that, okay, commercial kaam karne ja rahe hain, so why are they going to Faridabad? Why don't they go to places where there is more opportunity and all those things? So, but there was a point where the opposite traffic on office time was very high. When I was coming from Delhi to Faridabad, the opposite side was always very, in the morning, the opposite side was very, very traffic driven and my side was always school drive. Right? So I understood that people are in the morning going out of Faridabad and in the evening coming into Faridabad because evenings are traffic on my side. Right? This thing added to the basic research that everyone had that they don't want to be in Faridabad because of the reason of that their perception of Faridabad is not the right perception they're having. So perception changing takes time, but it is an opportunity that we can always work on. So there was a need for a co-working space in 2016.
Okay.
Right. So after GroupM, I by the end of August 2016, I had already gone into the room of my founder, of my CEO, and I had told him that sir, I'll be leaving now because I want to do something on my own. So what he did was the most amazing thing. So he told me that the COO told me that what you do is you work for me on the weekdays, and I'll work with you on your weekends.
Oh wow. He helped you.
Yeah, so he helped me work for around 5 months out of GroupM. And while I was building my own startup on weekends and evenings, and he knew that when he left the office at around 6:30, Arjun will be working on his own. So he let me do that for a while.
Right,
So it helped me with the initial operational expenses that I could get out of it. So on December 25th, 2016, we launched IDEASHACKS. So
Which day?
December 25th, Christmas Day.
Wow,
So we
25th,
launched-
2016.
Yes.
Okay.
So we launched on Christmas Day, and it was a celebration. All people came in. It was a location which nobody wanted to enter. I was so happy to be the first guy who took the decision of helping a group of individuals in a location which was underserved.
And I think that was the first ever co-working space here in Hyderabad.
Yes, so that was the first ever co-working space here. People were trying in their households. So somebody had done it in one house that they had put some 7 tables.
Okay.
But they were not doing it professionally. So and they didn't understand what the customer actually was looking for and what was the purpose of this.
I mean,
So-
that didn't serve the purpose of creating this ecosystem and
Right.
intention of bringing people to Hyderabad.
Right. So what happened was we started putting effort. We took a old building, so the journey of the product plus design plus software exploration of how to organize my thought, how to make the whole building run seamlessly, experimentation, those kind of things, plus everyday ideation. Everyone trying to tell you that, okay, this is my idea, what should we do? So some ideas in the beginning were like, the fun parts of it were like a guy saying, if my train is arriving at this point, why does food how can we get the food delivered to me in the train from outside in that town?
Okay.
Right, so why do we have the train time only given by the IRCTC website? If we have an app and the person is on the train,
Right.
then the train's time to reach can always be
Calculated.
Right? So why can't we just order from there from an app and then get the Domino's pizza and
When the train stops.
yeah.
I think
why
that's
can't
now
we do it?
is happening.
Now that's happening, right? So it was happening in
Right.
2016. We were having this discussion when
Okay.
this conversation. So the 3-month period happened, right? So we didn't do much about it. But somebody else, the government came in and said, we'll do it.
Which 3-month period?
So I told you, na, that 3 months, any idea if not executed, you should have 3 months. To
Oh,
execute.
right.
So that thing happened.
Yes.
So that thing, 3 months of thing happened with us. So we were meeting in this place, and the government said yes, we will make sure that the train time is available so people can deliver. So now the government had started renovating the Delhi railway station, and then things have started coming up for that. So these are the things that then made me so happy. That I was within in the middle of so many people who were into products and services and all those things. They were designing things every day.
And these discussions were happening in IDEASHACKS.
In IDEASHACKS, in a location which was underserved earlier, and people were hiding in Faridabad. Once they came to this place, they were started. So much innovation has happened. I would call it. We are moving towards becoming an institution in Faridabad. So we are not a co-working anymore. We are stories of a lot of people who have actually grown from here.
Right. I think the offices remain like at like 90, 100% occupancy.
Yes, we are majorly the industry works at 80%. And we are overall close to 80% full right now. And that is something which is great. All types of
Especially
people.
in Hyderabad, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so looking at us, a lot of people have also, so there is now an oligopoly in Faridabad. There are some 3 or 4 co-working spaces which are as good as ours, and then there are other levels of it also, up and down, all levels. So we have 22 co-working spaces now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so there are now 22 co-working spaces. When we were there was only 1, right? And over a period of time, people became members here. They opened a co-working space. We like that. In the end, we are always helpful of people. But our purpose was always not the real estate kind of co-working. It has always been building ecosystems, trying to create that value that people remember us. So we were a big part of NGOs becoming confederation of NGOs in Faridabad. So Faridabad is known to have around 150 kind of NGOs
Oh, wow.
which work on different purposes.
Okay.
So we were a part with the local authorities and police and NGOs together, coming together and making a confederation of global NGOs kind of a group, which now goes together to ask for anything from the government and works very nicely that way. We also have hosted one startup event that used to be a very cool event, which we are again restarting very soon. Is a startup meetup we used to do, where we curate around 5 startups to stand on stage and 5 investors to talk about the challenges they face in the market and what are the things that startups should work on. So it's a knowledge session plus a questioning session to the startups that we curate and put on stage.
Is that something you did part of Head Start or?
No, we did it independently. So we did it independently. We did 6 of them earlier.
Oh,
Now
wow.
we're again going to start it again.
Okay.
And these events became a lot of understandings used to happen. Ecosystems used to be so happy that we were bashed very nicely. We were given the investment that we wanted to. We were taken away from this presentation to another place, which was very valuable. So this is where the whole purpose of IDEASHACKS started becoming a thing. Money can always come. Money is always easy to achieve if you have a structure of what the customer needs and what you are delivering. But then you need to some days find the purpose of why are you doing it, because there will be some downs. So if you can go back to your purpose and then create that down, that is something that also became very cool in our place. So we thought that we will become, we will be an institution. We will never be a co-working space only.
Right.
So we have done a lot about a lot of NGOs. We have also been a part of a lot of colleges in their incubator cells. They know that every year in March they can reach out to us and they will get some sponsorship done, and then they will get some support from our side as well. There are some groups which we really value, like Head Start and TIE. These are some things that we are really fond of because we found lots of good thinking happening there. And then there are some funds that also become ecosystems, which are amazing funds to work with, and they give you the discovery of startups and all those things. So the first 1 crore, right? That is the question you would like to ask now, right? So how did you earn your first crore?
Yeah, I think we had. I think both via the jobs and by your own business. And how did your pay scale?
So see, my jobs never were able to give me 1 crore of a salary per year, right? So I was getting, when I left GroupM,
Right.
I was at a number which was 24 L. So 24, I left that place. That was I was 31, 32. So I left that at that point. Then I moved on to start my own startup.
IDEASHACKS around.
Right.
16.
Yes. So then what happened is that we started from scratch. We had some operational expenses from the last job. We started to move in that direction of using it and creating value, waiting for the customer.
How daunting was that, putting in your savings into starting something?
Very, very confusing and very, very painful in the sense that in the beginning when the customer does not hop in, right, as per your expectation, which generally will be, in the beginning a lot of hopes will be broken.
Right.
So those hopes were broken and we were finding our feet every day. But there was one thing that, okay, we are here, there are some support functions, there is some experience that has happened already. So I think we are in the right direction. There was some research that was market research that was already so robust in my mind that I could stick to it in a way that people are saying for a perception that don't be in Faridabad. But then when a space comes in, they know that the value is that they're not spending on their commute that much, they're not wasting their energy on travel.
Right.
They are coming to a place which is already offering them more than what most of the co-working space in Delhi are offering at that point of time. So it was an ecosystem that was built from referrals. The first guy was the biggest problem to hop in. It took around one full 1.5 months, 2 months, I think around 27 days. That the first guy hopped in and said, "Do you have internet?"
Okay.
And we asked, "What do you do?"
Okay.
Right? And then he says, yeah. So I am a content writer and I write for brands and I make sure that their blogs are running fine. And I said, "Why not? Please hop in." And that first customer was like our God-given gift. So we used to always try to look at what he will need next.
Okay.
What is his next need? So very personal kind of understanding the customer, kind of being with him. A small hall in the same building. Then he referring one more guy. Now both of them we personally taken care of.
Right.
Like if they are asking for tea, we are providing them special tea that we are made with our own hands and then giving it to them, right?
Amazing.
So majorly the journey became of this co-working space, which was referral from one community to the other. So this was a very big learning from there, that if the first person that joins you
Okay.
is the person that your brand reflects with, okay, the brand reflects with, there will be a lot of people who will join you. But it is your first painful journey to get the right customer to build the community on.
Right.
Because then the community will actually become something that will support you for life and your business will become something. So creating the first group of people who become your community is the biggest challenge. After that, it can have geometric growth.
Right.
So you should not have wrong people in your first group who are unable to get value to you in the near future, or you don't align with the wavelength or the vision.
Right.
So that is the luck and the overall pressure that we put ourselves so that we get the right people. And we let other people also, we didn't concentrate too much on the other people. We gave them conversation, but quality was the first point. Like people say that make for 95% of your people, right? Make anything for the 95%, right? But if you, in the beginning, what is your 95%? 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 100 people? Is that the 95% you should make for? I don't think so. The whole sample size is too small to make something for it. So what you need to do is just concentrate not on the creating for the 95% at that time. Create for the future number of 1,000 or 2,000 people today by curating the community for quality.
Small but a growing market.
But you need to think of, out of these 100, who will I create for? Because this community is right now 100 people who might be matched with your vision or not matched with your vision.
Right.
So you need to make the first 100 to match your vision, at least 50 to 100 people to match your vision.
Even your customers.
Yes. So quality should happen in the beginning. So you should have that runway, and you should have that roadmap plus the money to move. So the runway should be there. Run rate should be managed by over the next 6 to 7 months, that you are able to get the right people to start the community. Right? So this is what we were concentrating on: knowing the customer, trying to be close to him, understand what he actually needs, giving him doles for just giving us feedback. One guy gave us a good feedback and we told him your next month is free.
Oh wow.
Great, what a feedback we got, amazing. Right? So these are the things, giving them more importance, because these are the early adopters.
Yes.
So when you have the early adopters, you need to make for the early adopters, not for the 95% at that time. You need to first find those early adopters also. So sometimes what happens is you get the wrong people.
Right.
And that is the start of a wrong community.
They start training your energy and resources.
And yes, so we curated. So we in the beginning in a very big way curated the people. So it became 50 people who used to ask for good services, have big conversations, become a group, respond to events, become a part of those events. And the early adopters were able to look at our flaws and support us in that flaw, because it was very close by kind of conversation with them. Every day we were meeting each other. So that is the kind of understanding that we gained out of the early adopters that we curated.
Right.
So we were at that time not creating for the 95%. We were creating the right community to serve the 95% out of it once the community shows its size.
Right.
So curation of the community was the most important. So over a period of time, then referrals started happening. Now we started seeing that because good people had joined in the beginning, the good people got more good people around them. And these all good people then had the positive attitude of asking for the service and increasing their product. And this whole thing in an ecosystem was very valuable. We got a lot of experience. We made a lot of mistakes, and over a period of time, we had the same break-evens as a Delhi co-working. So the maths was like the first 3 months we reached our first break-even. So what we did with that first break-even?
Like the first 3 months of opening,
Opening, yeah. So we reached the first break-even. So we started not with the whole building in one go.
Okay.
So people say that you should not build one room in one go, but we were bootstrapped, so we had to do it in one room, and it was the best strategy we did.
Okay.
So we reached the first break-even in the next 3 months, first 3 months.
So
Then
your capex was also low, and you were able to start the business.
we designed one thing, we got the feedback, we knew what we had to do to the next hall, right? So it was user-driven kind of making the product over a period of
Like
time.
you were doing iterations with the co-working space, just
Yes.
like a product.
Yes. So then they asked us for the next hall, right? So one guy came and he expanded in one go and he said, I need 12 seats and I
Oh,
need
wow.
this, can I replace, right? So that
Amazing.
was So we made the next call, right?
Okay.
So then the second break even happened in the next 7 to 9 months. It was at around 8-month period that we reached the second break even, which is the whole hall, not the half of it. So now things start moving forward. So we are a 400-seater co-working space. So we overall then recommendations happened at a larger scale.
Okay.
So we moved to bigger brands joining us as well. So Godrej, Hill International, M Carbon used to be the smaller competitor of PayTM at that time. They joined us as well as a co-working member. So we had a mix of larger companies as well as smaller startups who used to add value to each other. There was requirements coming from larger companies. So smaller companies were saying, "I will do it for you." Within the ecosystem.
Wow.
So that is something that we always made sure that one person was there to enable it. So either in the beginning it was me and overall, and then later on it was one community manager we had to combine these discussions with other people and kind of create that. Okay, he's asking for this. Can you provide this? I know what you do. Can you do this for this guy? Think about it. So those kind of conversations he used to have, and he got them together. The deliveries started happening. In this whole journey, the happiness was we were building worlds for the startup people. So that was the pull. So we were building a hall, which then became a personality, a home for startups. We then made another one, which again became a personality for other ones. We started doing events which were more of investors hopping in and pitching about what they are looking for in startups, so building their value. Started mentor sessions, so we did mentor sessions with other people. So this was something that kept us on the purpose. While purpose was happening, the cash cow was working, which is the co-working space. So over around 12 months period, we had reached our fourth break even.
Oh, wow.
Because then larger companies had started saying we will give you the advance, you make us the office on the other floors.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I didn't need any investors. My investor was my customer only.
That's
so
the best
investor. Yeah. So he came in, he gave me the opportunity to design something for him. Okay. So we took over the whole building. Whole building we took over, and then it became a 400-seater office while we were also making an ecosystem happen for them in other places. In this place also aligning with universities outside, aligning with NGOs outside. While the first year happened, we were about to reach our revenues, which is the first crore.
So end of the first year?
Yeah. So
we made 1 CR.
As the revenue we crossed as the 1 crore of revenue. Turnover we reached 1 crore.
Were you expecting that? Probably
we were never aiming for it.
4 times of your salary within your first year of your
business.
We were
not.
Amazing.
We were not expecting it, and we were not aiming for it also. We were just basically creating the community. We were creating the value that actually creates more value for other people. And while this process was happening, we were getting customers who were really happy to pay us for the services we were entering on a basic level. And we were making other services to come in also, which were not only co-working but also business support services, which were actually to help startups to get registered, get Startup India recognition, get private limited registered, incorporation, then GST services, all of those things. Service modules started becoming one product that started becoming something for us, our brand also.
So you became that product.
So also in it. So currently, if somebody asks for any accounting services, we as a co-working space also provide accounting as a service.
Oh wow!
So you can ask us for GST registration, GST filing. You can also ask for TDS recon for everything that you buy and sell. You can also ask for P&Ls and income tax filing and all those things. Auditing, we can also get it done for you. Our prices will always be lower than the market that you have found out. So we will try to compete with the market with the best prices. And because my team is Vela, so they needed some growth. And we also wanted the product to be made into something. Right. So structures have now taken over. So the accounts team says yes, we will do it for us as well. Okay. So that is where the whole product has now become. It is and we are looking at, and the vision for me in IDEASHACKS is majorly now after 2016. It's been around 8 years, close to being 8 years. This whole journey is now becoming more structured, more institution type. It is not a co-working space anymore. We will definitely want to move in the direction of becoming an institution. We have opened one in Faridabad. The other one is opening in Chandigarh, and the third one is being planned in the UK. So these are the 3 that we are looking at to hedge our risks and create the ecosystems.
Global ecosystem.
Yeah, maybe, but currently we are more bootstrapped. But obviously, I need to have. That's my viewpoint only. Is that I need to have 3 proof of concepts to actually ask for money.
raised money and expanded further.
Yes, yes.
Something like a waiver.
But at least 3 of my own to make sure that I can show that this is what we can create.
You have proved the model.
Yeah, we have proved the model and the model is delivering in all 3 locations.
Right.
Then I would definitely want to go for somebody with an investor background with a flow that I need something from outside. Currently, my mentors are very happy to help me out.
And what about the Gurgaon one? Do you have plans for that, to making it a dedicated one?
Gurgaon one wants to become that space wants to have its own character of becoming a something like a incubator, accelerator, retreat, anything that can come up. It is a carbon negative space. It's more run on solar. Everything.
Yeah, I
is
think
solar.
that is one idea that I wanted to touch upon. I think IDEASHACKS one
Has also
beside
become,
the
yes.
besides the ecosystem part of things.
Yes.
Is the sustainability practices angle to it.
Right.
So how did you?
So
get
the
started
way
into that?
in the beginning, so we always wanted to do that people were not, so something that people don't want to do, we always enter that kind of in this industry.
Right.
So people said no Faridabad. I said yes Faridabad, and we made the Faridabad location and we had the same numbers as Delhi at that time. Right. The second part was Faridabad is the most polluting city. Second most polluting was the data that came in 5 years ago.
Right.
Surat was the first at that time, I believe.
Oh, wow.
So this data came out and we were thinking that okay, there is an important thing that also keeps us in the purpose of things. So again, purpose drives business because there will be many lows and you need to go back to the purpose, right? But obviously you need to empathize with the customer to understand what his needs are. It cannot be made for you, it has to be made for the customer. Right. So Faridabad was known to be the second most polluted city, so we took it on ourselves that we should become a symbol for it, and that was the journey that started towards sustainability. So we took the building as a full thing. Now we are growing fruit gardens in the co-working space. We are also having water harvesting in the co-working space in Faridabad. We also have 50% of our load coming from solar for the whole building. And we are aligned with, even online, we are keeping our website on GitHub, which is also on its own a sustainable brand. They also use sustainable servers. So we are as a brand becoming a sustainable brand and aligning with the future expectations as well as our own vision of wherever we go, we should get the positive change to happen for that location. They should always look at us as the story which was a positive story of what the startup should be. Right. So one thing that I have over a period of time found out is anyone can make a product, anyone can make a solution, but people buy stories.
Right. That's so true.
They don't buy products. They don't buy anything else. They buy stories. How is it valuable to you? What is the journey of this product? How this product can change their life is something that they are buying. They are not buying this building has tables, chairs, I should go. No, that is not how it happens. So value is through the right story, the right customer, listening to that story, and moving in the direction of getting value out of it.
And the interesting thing is, even this property itself was a factory.
Yeah, so this factory, again, another sustainability point of view, sorry, yeah,
Right.
this was a big point. So basically we had options of taking a commercial building, which was a new build, right? But we did not. We took an old factory, which is a black factory, basically spewing out a lot of carbon into the air, and we flipped the whole factory to tell people that okay, a factory can be the opposite of what it can be without using new materials and wasting the materials in the market. We were a circular economy kind of building the building. We took the structure of the building and we creatively defined zones in the building the way it was designed as a factory, and we got the opportunity to have an experience that nobody can forget the way it has been built. Right, so you have machine ramps that go from the ground floor to the basement. So those machine ramps are now sitting areas where you can have a presentation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll show you. Then where the other one is a mezzanine floor, which was just built because there was a factory floor and there was machines on the ground floor. So the owner wanted to sit in that mezzanine floor to check on what the machines look like and who was working where.
Oh, so like from here.
So yes, so these windows, right? So he used to see that how is that happening.
Okay.
So now we made it into a common area where we're interviewing ourselves. We are in this interview. So this is kind of an area which is an experience for people. So it is an experience zone as well. Even though it was a factory, but we call them a building. We only take old buildings and call them buildings of stories, buildings with stories. So these stories are always picked up. So this building used to have a perfume factory, used to have a cloth factory, used to have a metal black factory, which there were a lot of welding happening, and then there was CNC machines in the plastic moldings factory. So 4 factories we replaced in a one building kind of a block, and we converted it into a clean co-working space with an ambition to become carbon zero. Right, so that is.
And stands as a symbol. You have so many factories around this, and this
Yeah.
stands as a symbol.
Yeah.
That change
And
can
we
happen.
can, yes, change can happen, and change can only happen when you understand what the local problems are, right? And empathizing and everything. Yeah.
I think we have covered it all, mostly about IDEASHACKS and your whole journey. It was beautiful. You started IMPACTX Media very recently, I think
Yes.
1 or 2 years back.
Yes.
So, how has the journey been like with that?
So yeah,
What
so
are
it
the
is a
plans?
knowledge for me. So it's my own coursework that I enter on my own, created by me, for me. It is no, for everyone else as well. I'm just joking. So basically, we have interviewed 6 good startups who have actually created impactful products and services. And it was a learning experience for me because they are doing amazing stuff. Everyone has a story which is so amazing. They're superhumans. The way they have created from scratch what they have created. Companies like Greenpod Labs, companies like Jaipur Watch Company, companies like there was one solar company which had robotics that they were making. So their journey was amazing. Then these 6 startups that we have interviewed have actually created national products which are actually solving at a very product level kind of easy solutions. Some of the startups that I interviewed, I'll just give you some stories that what they do. So one is Greenpod Labs. They have made a small pouch. It's an organic chemicals, kind of organic things that are come into a pouch. You take them and you put them in a mango box when it is supplied, and the life of the mangoes becomes 10 days more.
Wow.
That 10 days is good enough for a mango to reach the market and get sold. A small pouch of 1 to 2 rupees put into a small box, a peti they call it, of mangoes. If the
That's
40%,
amazing.
so earlier 40% of the produce of every farmer of mango used to go waste because the buyer used to come in and say that I will pay for 60% and take the 100% with me, because the 40% will always get lost in the transit. So
Okay.
I will not pay for the other 40%. I know that 60% is the standard. I will pay you the standard. So it had become a standard. The wastage had become a standard for Indian.
The 40% used to go bad.
Go back.
By
So
the time it reached the
so
market.
the payment used to happen only for the 60%.
That's so unfair.
Right, so this problem, this one pouch solved that problem. Now the farmers are asking for 100% payment from their buyers. The whole of India has changed with the pouch. Right, so that is what the story is. So this is where the whole thing happens, right? Jaipur Watch Company, another story. A CA who worked in his own watch shop. One day felt that I have coins that I really collect. So can I put them in a watch and make my own watch and then try to sell it?
Okay.
Right? So he made a watch, he made 2 watches and he put it in one of the aisles of his shop. Right? And then he used to sell the other watches and then also sell his own. Sir, आप ये भी तो try कीजिए.
Okay.
Right? ये देखिए कैसा लग रहा है आपको design. So he used to get direct customer feedback. Very bootstrapped approach to reach a point where he started becoming a big brand. Right? So he took 9 years from 2 watches to making a full part of his shop to become those watches that he kept on designing. Then he started gifting those watches to all these celebrities. So he used to send a gift to Amitabh Bachchan, he used to send a gift to these people, and they used to like that gift of a watch, and then he used to take a photograph and he used to say, please send it back to me as well. Right? So over a period of time, he became what is now India's first Indian ethos designed watch.
Amazing.
It has Indian elements based out of Jaipur, the design whole thing, and he's now stores all across India. He's getting into Bangalore. He has some stores in Delhi. He is the Indian IWC of the world. So if you see, IWC is a known brand of Swiss watches.
Okay.
Now you have JWC, which
Okay.
is now an Indian ethos art.
Right.
It is designed for India in Indian design elements. So you will see that watch, you will understand that this can't be designed in another country because they don't have that base of looking at design in that way.
The aesthetics are very
The
Indian.
aesthetics are very Indian, and the product is very Indian. While he's now working on the supply chain and making sure that the supply chain now becomes more India driven. So he's trying for it. Currently, he's using Swiss machines and Swiss backend. But over a period of time, he's looking for suppliers who can deliver his watch in India itself. So his scale. So after 9 years of toiling with the customer, understanding the customer, not doing too much justice to what he had already made as a product, unable to do it actually. He was always wanting to. He ended up becoming something that was a valuable business, which actually became the story of India. Now he's listed all across the right ecosystems, where in magazines he gets free coverage.
Oh.
He understands that design magazines are now talking about a CA who designed an Indian watch.
Right.
Right.
That's such a beautiful story.
That's such a thing to tell you also that he's not an artist, but he has the mind of an artist. He's not educated in art, but he knows how to get the product out with the right aesthetics. So how does that story happen? It only happens through life experiences.
Right.
So life experiences are bigger than college degrees. Right? But yes, you need a college degree to have a different type of life experience as well.
True.
And that experiences were amazing for me as well. So IMPACTX Media has a purpose. So IMPACTX Media is finding all startups who have the potential or are currently doing impact-driven executions, which are basically solving a real problem, a meaningful problem for an economy or an ecosystem at scale, and for them to get a platform to talk about themselves and talk about their stories and get it to the right ecosystem. So now we have leadership, that is a lot of fund managers are looking at all the stories that come on that platform, and we are building it with the startups that want to present themselves there. So anyone who wants to get published in that on that platform, they should reach out to us on ventures@ideashacks.com, and my team will look at what their product is, what their solution is, and we will give you a pro bono interview on our platform. Over a period of time, the business model will automatically come when we have a community that builds it. So we're building the community. So you will become a part of that community, which has already gone to. One of them went to Shark Tank. The other one went to the other one went beyond Shark Tank. He's fully invested now, very large scale. A scientist in the US who is Greenport Labs. Then there is one guy who is fully bootstrapped, but at such a scaled up business. He's into EV charging, and he's a bootstrap guy, traditional business. But yes, he's looking for investors once he's covered up most of the cities in India. Then only he will look, because he has a lot of capital coming from the sale of the product itself.
Oh wow,
so those kind of stories are there on the platform.
And these stories you're discovering, like, were these part of IDEASHACKS, or you're discovering?
No, they are not only part of IDEASHACKS. They are, one of them is out of IDEASHACKS when they grew up and became so big that we had to interview them. The other ones are all across people who are looking for platforms to get published and get their information out of what they are creating, and try to have and they deserve the presence online, because their product is actually designed in a way and solving a problem that is very important for India.
Right.
So we keep on finding that. So we are always scouting for such startups, and we keep on looking at how to put them on the platform and share their story across. Yes. Majorly focused on Bharat, but always open for good Bharat and beyond also. So anyone who is looking for impactful news distribution, please come to us. We are also a platform that can deliver to small groups of very concentrated readers who are looking at the long format content, because they are right now in scouting for startups and the maximum details they want of that startup to take it to sales pitch inside a fund. So those are the readers on that platform. So this is the reasoning why
the community might not be super large, but the intent and
the intent is very focused.
The high quality community of readers.
Yes. So that is what IMPACTX is. So it is a very organic movement from making a physical ecosystem to making an online ecosystem as well, and making it like a full solution that becomes a part of the ecosystem vision of IDEASHACKS and institution vision of IDEASHACKS.
And obviously that becomes a lead generation engine for your other properties once you expand.
Yes, so we are expanding currently. So we lead gen and the basics of cash cow is easy to achieve right now. We know the maths of it. We know the process of it. What we need to now become is the vision based to what we are concentrating and focusing on is to get the vision of the ecosystem and institution.
Right.
These two things should now combine together, that people should think that this is an institution you can go to.
Right.
And you will find some inside ecosystems which will actually add value to you. So those valuable ecosystems I want to build, so that an institution word attaches to the word IDEASHACKS.
So what do the next 5 years for IDEASHACKS and
So we want to become an ecosystem which has a knowledge exchange through our different physical properties. So it should become a knowledge exchange. They should become small places where data has been exchanged through online and offline, and acceleration happens through community-led incubation, kind of, in the next 5 years. And then over a period of time become a fund, then we move into the venture capital side as a brand.
Which are already starting to look on a personal level by
At a personal level, yes, little bit, yes, but overall, we are right now making communities,
Right.
making ecosystems, and trying to reach the point of institution is a very big word, because institutionalizing something means you are making processes out of things and they are automated and working for the betterment of a group of people. Right, while you are building new products on top of it, which also add value to the basic pillars of yours. So we want to see the parts of learning / workspace / acceleration.
Right. The
These
whole
three
end-to-end
things.
pipeline.
The 3 points to the triangle should happen in the building, which is IDEASHACKS.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a beautiful vision, and you're already almost.
We are building it. We are building it. Institution word is very far right now. I'm thinking of reaching it faster. But yes, ecosystems I'm very keen on building.
So
Thank you.
yeah, I think that brings us to end. Thank you so much for the beautiful conversation. I learned a lot. Got to know a lot more experiences than I was hoping for. And yeah, thanks again for coming on the podcast. And
Pleasure.
hope
My
to host
pleasure.
you again soon.
My pleasure.
Thank you for watching, and please like, subscribe, and share this video, and share it with your friends and network who might like it. See you in the next one.